There's a familiar flutter that runs through EXO-L whenever Kyungsoo's name appears somewhere new, and this week it happened again. Word spread quickly that Kyungsoo has been nominated for Male Artist of the Year at the 2026 Jupiter Music Awards, and within minutes, fan timelines filled with the kind of joy that only comes from watching someone you've supported for years get recognized all over again. It wasn't loud in the way a chart-topping debut is loud. It was warmer than that, more personal, the kind of pride that settles into your chest rather than exploding onto a screen. For anyone who has followed Kyungsoo's path from his earliest days as EXO's vocal anchor to the artist he has become, this nomination doesn't feel like a surprise so much as a confirmation. He has spent over a decade building a reputation as one of the most technically gifted vocalists in the industry, a singer whose tone carries weight without ever needing to shout for attention. His voice has always had this rare quality of sounding both powerful and unguarded at once, like he's giving you something real instead of performing at you. That's not an easy balance to strike, and it's part of why his name keeps surfacing whenever conversations turn to who genuinely deserves recognition rather than who simply has the most visibility. What makes this nomination land differently is the timing. Kyungsoo has been moving through an incredibly full season, splitting his energy between group activities with EXO and the kind of individual projects that showcase exactly why fans have never wavered in their loyalty. Between tour preparations, variety appearances, and the steady hum of solo-adjacent work, he has been everywhere and nowhere at once, present in the public eye but still carrying that quiet, focused presence that has defined him since debut. Fans have watched him balance all of it with a kind of grounded consistency that feels increasingly rare in an industry that often rewards spectacle over substance. The Jupiter Music Awards nomination specifically for Male Artist of the Year places him in a category that recognizes overall artistry rather than a single release or moment. It's a broader statement, one that acknowledges the full scope of what an artist brings to the table over time: vocal skill, stage presence, reliability, growth, and the ability to keep audiences invested year after year. For someone like Kyungsoo, whose career has never leaned on gimmicks or manufactured drama, this kind of recognition feels particularly meaningful. It's less about one moment and more about the accumulation of everything he's built. Fans have wasted no time mobilizing. Voting threads went up almost instantly, complete with step-by-step guides for international fans navigating the platform, screenshots comparing regional access, and endless reminders to vote daily rather than just once. There's a certain rhythm to these voting pushes that longtime EXO-Ls know well: the shared spreadsheets, the countdown clocks, the gentle but persistent nudging in every group chat. It's not about desperation, it's about care. Fans genuinely want to see him win, not because a trophy defines his worth, but because it's one more visible marker of the respect he's earned across a long and consistent career. There's also something quietly emotional about watching a fandom show up like this after all these years. EXO debuted well over a decade ago, and yet the energy behind moments like this hasn't dulled with time. If anything, it's deepened. The fans who started following Kyungsoo in his early 20s are now watching him move confidently through his 30s, still delivering, still growing, still earning new admiration from people who might be discovering his voice for the first time. That kind of longevity and loyalty says as much about him as an artist as any award ever could. Kyungsoo's musical identity has always leaned into emotional honesty. Whether performing ballads that ache with restraint or upbeat tracks that still carry his signature richness, he never seems to be chasing trends. He sounds like himself, consistently, which is part of why his fanbase trusts him so deeply. In an era where vocal manipulation and heavy production can sometimes blur an artist's true ability, Kyungsoo's live performances have repeatedly reminded everyone that his sound isn't studio magic, it's simply him. This nomination also arrives at a moment when EXO as a group continues to hold cultural weight nearly 13 years after debut, something increasingly uncommon in an industry defined by rapid turnover. Kyungsoo being recognized individually reinforces the idea that the members' personal artistry remains just as vital as their collective identity. Fans often describe this duality as one of EXO's greatest strengths, the ability for each member to shine individually while still feeling like an essential piece of something larger. As voting continues, the mood among fans remains hopeful rather than anxious. There's a collective sense that regardless of the final outcome, the nomination itself is meaningful, a marker of continued relevance and respect within the industry. Still, that hasn't stopped anyone from voting with everything they've got. Daily reminders continue circulating, fan accounts are tallying vote counts, and the excitement shows no sign of slowing as the awards date approaches. For Kyungsoo himself, whose public demeanor has always leaned modest and understated, this kind of recognition likely means more than he'd ever say outright. He's never been the type to seek the spotlight aggressively, letting his work speak instead. That quiet confidence is part of what fans have come to love most, the sense that his talent doesn't need convincing anyone of anything. It simply exists, undeniable and constant. As the countdown to the Jupiter Music Awards continues, EXO-Ls everywhere are channeling their energy into one simple hope: seeing Kyungsoo's name called on the night itself. Whatever happens, this moment already stands as a reminder of just how far he's come, and how much further the road ahead still holds for one of K-pop's most quietly extraordinary vocalists.